depending on what market you're in, what we do is on a virtual basis, we're going to get pictures from the seller, and the sellers send us pictures. 99% of the sellers will send us pictures, right? Then what we'll do is we'll take those pictures and we'll determine, is it trashed, completely trashed? Is it just dated, or is it in fairly good condition, maybe carpet and paint? So we're going to put it in 3 different buckets. If it's completely trashed, we're going to look at, 25 to 30 bucks a foot to get that property renovated. If it just needs to be remodeled, we're talking maybe $15 to $20 a foot. And if it is clean, we're talking maybe anywhere from $8 to $10 a foot. So based upon the pictures, we put it in a bucket, and based upon the bucket, we're going to calculate repairs. Now, here's the interesting part. We are offering and getting contracts accepted at 48 to 53% of the Zillow value, 48 to 53%. And we're selling the properties regardless of repairs, right? Even if they're trashed or even mid, we're selling them a little higher, 58 to 63%. So what would determine if something's 58% or 63%, depending on what bucket it is in? If it's trashed, it's on the 48, 47, 48% range. 58, 57, 58% range. Now, remember, that's, there's 40 plus percent equity in the property on a $200,000 property. That's incredibly significant, right? So if it's trashed, we're going to go on the lower end when we're selling the property. If it is it's dated and need a remodel, now we're going to be, instead of 58 to 63, we're going to be right around 60% that we're going to be selling those properties to buyers for. If it's on the upper end, it's fairly clean, it needs a carpet and paint, it's a newer build property, then we're going to be uppers to the 63 plus percent, even potentially higher, depending on the demand of the neighborhood, right? For an example, we got a property in Orange, California. We got the property for $600,000. First thing we did was we looked at the inventory. How much inventory is in this little subdivision in a 1 to 2 mile radius of what's happening in the market right there, this little market. So the house is in the middle. We look at about a mile, 2 mile. What's the inventory? You know what it was? Nothing, right? Houses were selling in days. And what we looked at, the houses that were selling are in the middle category, meaning they're just dated. They're not trashed. They're just dated. Well, guess what? Our property fit in this middle category. It was just dated. So we looked at it and we said, what are they selling for? Well, these properties were selling at about 80 plus percent of the fixed up value of the property, 80 plus percent. So we got them under contract for 600. We were going to put it out for 650, but we decided to put it out for 719, and we got an offer for 692 cash. So we could have left $42,000 on the table, but because we looked at the demand of the particular subdivision and in that specific market, it allowed us to push our prices higher because of the lack of inventory. Now remember, inventory drives pricing. Inventory drives pricing. I'll give you another example. I've owned a house in Southern California in Dana Point. I bought it in 2006. I bought the house in 2006. I bought it for $1.2 million. It's a beach house, Dana Point. It's a private gated community, super awesome. And I brought my family over there for years. My daughter, she's 22 now. My youngest daughter is 17 now. We've literally since 2006 been going to that beach house every single year for at least a month to month and a half. July to mid-August. We go over there when they're out of school, right? We go over there for a month and hang out at the beach. Well, California got crazy. They started putting all these weird exit taxes, means you have to pay a tax to sell your house to leave, right? So they started at 3%. I heard they're going to move it up to 5 to 7%. Then I heard they're going to move it up to 15%. So it costs us 3%, not only to, I mean, if you're dealing with a realtor, which I'll explain in a second, but 3% just to give to California to sell your property. Now you can file a tax return and get a percentage of it back and this, that, and the other, but still, right? Still stupid. So, and California's getting crazy. We're like, okay, we're out of here. And some other things, came up and whatever. It just was timing was right. So this past December, I decided to sell the property. Well, what's the first thing I did? I looked at inventory. I looked at inventory of this little subdivision. It's a gated community. It's about 1,000 houses or so. It's right on the beach. It's right by Ritz-Carlton, right there right off the PCH and the 101 in PCH and Niguel Shores. Niguel Shores is what's called. A little neighborhood, and there's no inventory in houses that pop up or have multiple offers, and they go in a matter of days, in a matter of a day or so, if there is any inventory. So I have my house in Dana Point. So we sold the property for $1.7 million, right? $1.7 million. And literally, I made a couple calls to some realtors. I found the hottest realtor in the neighborhood, just like what we do across the entire country. I didn't list it. I didn't fix it. We cleaned the whole property up and stuff like that. But I didn't go do a full reno. We did reno years ago when we bought it. But so it was in this category right here. So it was clean. It could carpet and paint and clean it up. You could probably do a full blown reno on it. Probably get, maybe another 100 grand out of it, maybe 50 grand. But we're like, okay, I talked to the top realtor. There's no inventory in the market right there. I said, okay, selling it for 1.7. Give me your highest and best. And literally, I sold it. I flew out there on a weekend, talked to a couple realtors, sold it in a matter of a week. Full cash offer. People out of San Francisco came down and bought it as a beach house. They're moving from San Francisco and closed it in less than a month. Right? Sold the house. So smoking deal. But the interesting thing is, what drove it? Inventory in the neighborhood. There was none. So I could ask the absolute top price, higher than the top price, than any of these houses in a minimal condition, right? So that's what I'm telling you. When you get a property under contract, and you're getting these contracts, right? You're getting these contracts make sure you go into Redfin, and look, and I particularly like Redfin because Redfin, you can kind of zoom out and you can see all the available properties and the pending properties around your particular property. Look out about a mile and look at all the available. And what you're gonna see is you want to look at available inventory, and then you want to look at available inventory and pending. That's going to tell you all the activity, the pending properties in those particular areas. So the bottom line is that will tell you on what you can sell your property for. You can push the price if you look at inventory, and you can actually go in on properties and you can scroll down and you can see how long it's been on the MLS. So this particular Orange property, Orange, California, we looked at it, and guess what? Properties were selling that are pending were pending in days. They were listed on January 5th, and literally went pending January 6th or January 7th. That means there's high demand area. That means you can push your pricing up on your property. So don't get locked in on 58 to 63%. That's a fluid number based upon, and that's a really good number to be able to find buyers and sell your properties quickly. But if you got a super hot smoking deal, like we got a deal in Portland, Oregon, well, the deal in Portland, well, guess what? There's no inventory in Portland. Portland's a super hot market. Guess what? We'll be able to sell that property just like that. And it happens. All right.